Okay, we have a game. I'm playing white against Credence, who is 1750 rating, and we will. I think I will play a normal Italian game, which is to bring the knight to c4. I've seen a video about a plan in the Italian game, and I've been trying it out lately, and it's not bad. And it's the slow plan of basically bringing the knight from here to here, and that way you can get some attack on the king, or maybe you could get the bishop for it. And this worked out pretty nicely in recent games, and I hope it'll work out nicely now too. So now he's threatening to bring the bishop here, and that's an kind of uncomfortable pin, and he could follow up with bringing the knight here. So I'm just preventing that, and he's preventing me bringing the bishop too, which is fine. That wasn't in my plan anyway. Okay, so now if I trade the bishop, he can take with the pawn. This opens the f-file, and more importantly, it takes hold of this point, f5, and I don't want this point to be controlled by a pawn. So what I do, I have a couple of options. I can either move the bishop here, or I can I can move the bishop here. Moving the bishop here, if he threatens it, I can move. If he threatened it, I can move. And his queen side, his pawns are running forward, but the queen side is a little weakened. Yeah, I think I will. I think I will go for that. Yeah. That also allows me to try to preserve the bishop by moving this pawn here and allowing it to drop back to this point. So that's also fine. And after that is done, I can think about planting a knight here, and then planting this knight, planting it here on h4, and then moving a knight to f5, which should give me some chances for an attack. Now, of course, now I see he's got the knight here, and that also, well, not anymore, but it kept hold of that square. Now that he's got it here, he's keeping hold of this square. So I don't know exactly if I can do the plan that I wanted here, but another plan comes to mind, which is to attack in the center, open up the center, maybe get some threats going. So I think I will castle. Generally, I want to get the rooks into the middle and go for the break d4, and I think that'll give me some pressure. Otherwise, I don't really have a lot going, and when I break here, I think I want my bishop to be here, just solidifying this pawn, and should be okay. Should be okay. So he's doing that too. He's also breaking in the center, but I think I don't think that's such a good break, because I can then maybe have some influence over this point, this pawn, and in fact I can consider moving this pawn here right now, as opposed to that plan, just a different plan. We'll see. Let me think about this. If I take this pawn here, he can grab this pawn. I'll grab this pawn, and well, then I'll be threatening his bishop, and I can advance this e-pawn forwards, and this moves his knight from the defense. So I actually like that a lot. Now if he takes this pawn, I can simply take his bishop, then I'll have the two bishops, he'll only have one bishop. That's also fine for me. Okay, so he did door number 3. Now he's got 2 defenses on this pawn and I got 2 attacks, which means he is set. Let's calculate this out. If I take, he can take. If I take his piece, he takes it. So it's an even exchange. But the position later, it'll be fine. I'm not sure exactly. I could take this pawn and then maybe get my rook into the action. Let's see this. Yeah, I think I'll take this pawn and take this pawn so he can't advance it. I don't want him to have the center like this here. And now I can simply move my rook here. This is kind of an even position, but I like my position a bit more because if I get the bishop here, I can attack his king. Also note that this pawn is isolated, it has no friends, so it's easy to attack him. And this looks like a decent plan actually, just attacking this pawn, but right now it's adequately defended by the knight and the bishop. Maybe trying to think of some way to attack this knight, which is or maybe just attack this bishop, also good. I'm thinking maybe I can move the knight here and get a knight on f5 after all. This should be interesting. But I'm also thinking of another plan, which is to put the bishop here. That's not good though. Why? He could take the knight with check, and then I just lose after I take his knight with my queen. Well, I still defend the bishop, but that's not enough. I mean, he has 2 pieces on the bishop, so obviously I can't play the bishop to here. Okay, now I'm considering to take his knight. He'll take the bishop. I can pressurize it with my queen. That's... No, he could just take my knight, and if I take his knight, his bishop, he could take my pawn. So he wins a pawn in that variation. So that's not that great either. So I think this is an okay plan. I think just getting a knight to f5 should prove... I mean, if nothing else, maybe I could take his bishop and that'll give me the 2 bishops, which, you know, maybe you've heard this expression, the 2 bishops. When you have 2 bishops together, they can cover, you know, adjacent diagonals. One controls the black color, the other the white. So if you have both of them, that gives you a sort of an advantage. Okay, so now I can think of which knight do I want here. Now, obviously you might be thinking this knight is better to get. It's better to get this knight here because this knight is in a fine position. Oh, he's attacking my bishop now. I just noticed that too. And well, since since he couldn't take my knight with the bishop afterwards, with his bishop afterwards, if he doesn't have one, I think exchanging it will be good, because then I plan my knight here. It's a good, it's an okay position. It's an attacking position. I like that. And I'm also, for now, I'm controlling the e file. I can think about maybe trying to use it somehow with my rook. Don't see quite how yet. But one thing is I could give a check, and if he takes, I get a rook there. I'm not sure how much that gives me. Okay, so now he's don't know how much he's threatening. He's threatening to take that knight and give me an isolated pawn, but I'm not that concerned about that. Okay, now I can have, there's a tactic here that I can try to employ, just to bring the queen here, and okay, never mind, his knight is protected. I thought about getting the queen here, taking this pawn, and if he takes with the pawn, I take the knight, but his knight is protected with this knight on d7, so that doesn't quite work. Still, it is an attacking square, and you know, it's might give me something. I'm also thinking about just advancing my pawn, just kind of a caveman attack, it's called, just because it's so blunt and inelegant. This could give me something because it has this pawn to bite on, so maybe. What else can I consider here? My bishop is not doing all that much as it is, so trying to get this one into the game. And you know, if I get the queen here, I could get the bishop here to f4 to threaten his queen and get it out, get the rooks coming into the party. This could be alright. Now, what I'm thinking about on his turn is that maybe he could get the knight to over here, which is a nice outpost, and could cause me some trouble. We'll see about that. We'll see about that. Meanwhile, I'm thinking about getting my bishop out, and possibly, really, since I have a lot of pieces around my king, I mean, this knight, this bishop, I'm thinking that attacking with the pawns should be feasible, could be good. I think it could be quite good, really. So we'll see. Okay, got a different knight into a good outpost. And this threatens my queen. It threatens maybe to get into d3. It's a pretty nice move. So I think what I can do here is put some pressure on this knight. That's not so good because you can get the rook behind it, and well, what I was thinking was to get the bishop here, and that way try to pin the knight to the queen. I'll have 3 pieces on it. Let's try to calculate this. If I bring the king here, he brings the rook here, I bring the knight here, then he can actually give check, but I can take it. So maybe it's not too bad after all. Maybe it's not too bad after all, but I'm thinking now that if on that position when my queen is here, my bishop's here, his rook is over here, he could play knight here, just threatening my queen, and then I could take his queen, but he takes my queen with check. No, he takes, no, I'm sorry, I completely hallucinated there. You know, this is not bad. No, I don't like this move. He just simply brings the knight here, and then I have nothing, and he can just win this tempo with putting his rook against my queen, threatening it. So actually, I will play this. Now this is better because his knight is pinned to the queen this way. His queen is undefended, so he can move his knight. And if he supports his knight, I can attack it another time. So, and I'm actually also very conveniently threatening checkmate. So he's kind of in a bind now. If he threatens my queen, and defends this pawn with moving the knight to h5, I just take his knight, win an extra piece. So, you know, I think I pretty much have a one game here. Well, not exactly. He can move. No. That doesn't help him. I don't see really. That's kind of beautiful because the only way he can defend the mate and threaten the knight and save the knight is to move the knight in front of this g7 square. But he can't do that because he's pinned to the queen. I wish I could have said that I thought about this well in advance, but no. But I did spot that I can threaten his knight and pin it, and you know, that's pretty good. Now he does have a saving move here. Now that I see it, he can move the pawn here, and that way, if I take his knight, he takes my knight. But okay, he resigned because afterwards I could just take his pawn, and you know, my knight is protected by the bishop. So after he moves his king here, I just take the knight, and I'm a piece up for nothing. Okay, well, this game has had a nice ending. I hope you enjoyed it. And I was Chessilisk, and hope to see you next time. Goodbye.